Hello and welcome back to War Thunder here with Stuka King 94. And today we're taking a look at one of the forgotten aircraft of the Japanese in World War II, the Ki 102 Type 4 assault aircraft, or Randy as it was known to the Allies. This really is an interesting machine. It stems from a line of heavy fighter aircraft, beginning with the Ki 45. So let's start from there. The Ki 45 being the anti-bomber workhorse of the Japanese Army Air Service, designed by Kawasaki. This aircraft was built in response to the heavy fighter developments that were started in Europe, like the Fokker G1 or the Bf-110, and the Japanese wanted something similar. The Ki 45 would serve the Japanese well until the end of the war, mainly being used in the anti-bomber role. But even in 1942, the Kawasaki decided, this thing could be improved further. So in a private venture, they built an improved Ki 45, it's sometimes called a Ki 45-2, I think. The resulting aircraft, being again a twin-seater, was shown to the Army Air Service. They didn't like it. They said, we want it to be a single-seater. So Kawasaki moved to second position. The resulting aircraft became the Ki 96. Three of these were built. The first one retaining the second position. The next two being then single-seaters. After three were built, the Army Air Service decided, we want a twin-seater again. So Kawasaki begrudgingly decided, okay. They took the experience gained from the Ki 45, for the intended Ki 45 successor, Ki 45-2, and took the wings from the Ki 96, and the resulting aircraft would become the Ki 102. You can see from above, the Ki 102 and the Ki 96 share similar components, the wings, engines, all that is similar. Now, all this happened in 1943, and, the Ki 96 test flights and design, all this took place in 1943, and by 1944, specifically March, the first Ki, the Ki 102 was ready. The Ki 102, at least the B model, again was a twin-seater. It retained the same engines, but got different armament. It was intended to be used in three roles: air-to-ground attack, that's the Ki 102B, then as a high-altitude interceptor in the form of the Ki 102A, and as a night fighter in the form of the Ki 102C. Looking at these variants, they all are in their configuration very similar, but they carry various different amounts of armament. Some even carry radar. Let's start with the Ki 102A. The Ki 102A has the same basic configuration as the other ones, but the Ki 102A has a 37mm Ho 204 cannon in the nose, 220mm in the belly. It has two Ha-112 engines, Ha-112 Ru to be exactly. The Ru suffix standing for a turbo supercharged engine, while the Ki 102B we see here does have the normal Ha-112s because it doesn't need high altitude performance. This was followed by the Ki 102B, the Otsu, which is the variant we see here. This is the best known of the bunch. It's also the one which was built the most. All in all, only 238 machines were built, so very limited production run. And this is the one we generally know most. This ground attack variant has the Ha-112 without the turbo supercharger, of course, because it's intended to be operated at lower altitude, and it drops out the 37mm gun for a massive Ho 401 57mm cannon. This thing is huge. If you see a cross-section of the nose of the Ki 102, which is available online, this actually doesn't give it any justice. This thing is massive. It fills up the entire nose of the thing. Additionally, it retains the 220mm Ho 5 cannons in the belly, and also has a rear gunner arming a 50 caliber Ho 104 machine gun. This aircraft is also intended to carry the Ego 1B air-to-ground missile, which was a radio-controlled missile precision-guided munition, not dissimilar from the German Fritz X or HS-293 in the fact that it was radio-controlled, although the fact that radio equipment was pretty deficient throughout the war, it's questionable how well it would have worked. Yeah. This was followed by the Ki 102C, which was a night fighter variant, which was the most visually distinctive looking of the Ki 102s because it removed the rear gunner position and had a perspex dome behind the cockpit housing a radar. Which one is actually not completely known. I've seen different configurations proposed, most notably a Taki 2 or Taki 15 radar system. These were basic AI radar systems. In general, Japanese radar systems were pretty lacking. They got some help from the Germans. Some of the Japanese radars were developments of the Liechtenstein, I think. And they tried all different configurations for like reducing for example, the Liechtenstein radar with its large antenna, which created serious drag. They tried to incorporate them into the nose or in the leading edges of the wing, but this all never really came to fruition. They had some basic AI search radars, but that's about it. And even then, the Germans, they did not have the best radars available anyways. The Allies were far ahead in terms of that technology. The Ki 102C again would revert to the Ha-112 Ru engines for good high altitude performance, since they were intended to operate at night and counter high-flying bombers. And that one had two 30mm cannons replacing the 20mm in the belly, and put the 220s behind the cockpit in a schräge Musik style upwards firing position. Since we only have the Ki 102B here in game, and it's the one we are flying out today, let's take a more deeper look into it. Specifically right now the engines. This is a 14-cylinder radial engine. It's known as the Ha-112, but this is the ARM designation. It's generally better known as the Mitsubishi Kinsei. It's also found in the Ki 100 in the regular and Ha-112 Ru configuration. It also powered the D3A Val dive bomber, although that's an earlier Kinsei. This Kinsei is, I think, of the Model 60 series, if I'm not mistaken, which is a late war development of the Kinsei, producing much more horsepower. The earlier Vals had 1,000 horsepower. This one develops 1,550 horsepower for takeoff. It was a pretty reliable engine by this point, 14 cylinders. The Ru version did cause some trouble because turbo superchargers were never very reliable in Japanese service. They had a number of designs ready that were to be powered by turbo supercharged engine, like the Ki A7 for example, stuff like that, but they always caused trouble. The 102B is an all-metal aircraft. The flaps could also be deflected at 50 degrees to be used as dive brakes. It would have been rather useful for a ground attack aircraft. It not only would have been able to carry the Eiger-1B, but provisions were also there to carry two 250 kg bombs, similar to the Ki-45 Toryou, to further aid in the ground attack role. The 57mm gun fired high explosive ammunition at a measly 495 meters per second, but at an impressive 80 rounds per minute. It had a 16-round drum magazine, and with that it was intended to engage soft-skinned, light ground targets, infantry, stuff like that. Although it could have also been used against bombers, I guess, and this is one of the main types of roles this aircraft fills here in the game. Anything else about the Ki 102B? Right now, I think we actually covered most about this thing. There just isn't that much known about this aircraft. Well, we could speak, its service history. It entered service in, I think, October 19... Oh, wait. Yeah, it entered service late in 1944. but they were generally held back because it was expected that these were used in defense of the home islands should the Americans decide to invade. Ki-102s would take to the air and attack them with radio-controlled bombs or regular bombs and that big-ass 57mm Dong cannon. They did see some limited operation in the Okinawa campaign, but given that only 238 were ever built, lack of pilot experience, and the Allies having the air superiority, it is unlikely they made much of an impact, even though it could have been, because this is a very promising aircraft. Especially the Ki-102 C night fighters. If they had better radar, they could have been pretty interesting, pretty devastating. Most interesting, I think, is that this is only one of a number of twin-engine fighter designs of the time. Some very advanced ones, like the Ki-83, were also considered. There was also the Aichi S1A Denko. The Navy had the J5N Tenrai, and there was also the Rikugun Ki-93. Late war the Japanese had some very interesting late war twin-engine fighters, but the Ki-102 was really the only one that entered mass production before the war ended. Lastly, there was also the Ki-108, which was a development of the Ki-102 as well. Now, the Ki-108 was a high-altitude fighter. It has a pressurized cabin, which is why its canopy looks so strange. It was the first Ki-108s. The first two were developed from the Ki-102 airframe, actually, the modified Ki-102 airframe. This was followed by two Ki-108 Kais. This is the one we have here. And this was to be the main production variant. However, only two of these were built before the war ended. This one featured the 37mm Ho 204, which is one of the best 37mm cannons the Japanese had, but which saw only very limited use. It fired, unlike the previous 37mm weapons, it fired at a high muzzle velocity and had an insanely good rate of fire. It also had more ammunition than the earlier drum-fed guns. But again, only two of these, four if you include the prototypes, were ever built. And that brings the history part of the Ki-102 to an end. So not that much actually, but there is just not that much known about this machine. About the aircraft in game. It sits at a battle rating of 3.3, so it comes slap bang after the other Ki-45s. And it's a rank 3 aircraft, so you can grind out challenges and stuff if you want to. It follows the Ki-109, which is one of the worst aircraft in the game, and the Ki-45s, which are good, and it's followed by the Ki-108. And once you go down the Japanese heavy fighter line, this is really where it starts to get good, with the Ki-102, Ki-108, the J5N, which I haven't flown that much, and the Ki-83, which is excellent. It's cheap as chips to run. It has a repair cost of like 2,663, perfect. Don't trust the stat card too much. 580 kilometers per hour is historical in terms of top speed. 24.5 seconds turn time. Don't think it takes that long to turn this thing around. The climb rate is not historically. Historically, this thing had a climb rate of like 11 to 12 meters per second, if I remember correctly. 19.5 seems way too much, especially considering that this aircraft is so big and heavy. Oh yeah, this is something we need to talk about. As this is a ground attack aircraft. This thing has extensive armor. It might be the most heavily protected aircraft the Japanese ever fielded. Look at the armor protection of this thing. This is really good. It protects its pilots very well. Despite that, I would not recommend going into head-on attacks with this thing because your main, against enemy fighters, your main armament are those 220mm, and they just don't cut the mustard in a head-on. But yeah, back to the aircraft in game. In terms of modifications, you want to have the flight performance mods first, and the armaments as a second. Take the survivability mods as third, and then these one last. The aircraft is not the fastest. is not the most maneuverable, but you want to have every nick of speed you can get, which is why these flight performance modifications are important. Survivability mods, you can disregard them for a little bit later, because this thing is already very heavily protected. It can take some hits. Except to the engines. Unlike the Messerschmitt 410, for example, this is not as heavily protected in terms of the engines are unarmored. The Messerschmitt 410, for example, has armored engines. However, despite all that weight, it is still comparatively light. For example, a Messerschmitt 110 G4 night fighter fully loaded weighs 9.8 tons. A Messerschmitt 410 roughly also weighs fully loaded 9.8 tons. The Ki 102 is much lighter, mainly because also it's a much smaller aircraft. It fully loaded weighs only 7.3 tons. Together with the powerful engines, this gives it a favorable power to weight ratio. Something you will notice, especially when you dive with this thing, is that it builds up speed very quickly. It's pretty good in a dive. Although, unfortunately, it does not have the flaps cannot deflect to 50 degrees to act as air brakes, at least not yet. It also does not have the Ego 1B air-to-ground missile yet, and does not have its ability to carry bombs. And this is for an aircraft that's been in the tech tree for ages now. They really should be getting, first of all, reworking the flight model, because 19.5 meters per second is just not its historical climb speed, and it's lacking its ammunition loadout. Also, the other two variants are also not there, which I really want to fly, actually. Yeah. The aircraft does not come with any skins, sadly, but that might change. I know there isn't there can't be too many skins, because there were just a few of these things around. Also, none of these survive today. Anyways, let's take this thing into a quick test flight to give you no, come on. Give you a hint on how to fly this thing. Now, now, as you can see, it climbs rather well here in game, at least for a heavy fighter, that is. Keep that in mind. When I talk about this thing is pretty good and this and that, this means it's good for a heavy fighter. Of course, in performance, this thing can't really keep pace with single-engine machines. But it does feel a different kind of role anyways. The aircraft is very good for bomber hunting with that big ass 57mm gun, although you need some careful aiming. But at this kind of battle you have some serious bombers. The BB-238, which is very, very heavily armed, and you also can counter B-25, stuff like that. This thing can make quick work of them with a single shot. However, you still need to be careful. But this is where this thing has its role. It can also engage enemy single-engine fighters, but you need to be a little bit more careful with that. This is a much more situational aircraft than single-engine fighters. It requires you to be much more aware of your surroundings, and you also need to work with your team. Keep an eye out for teammates that are in trouble and have enemy fighters on their tail. Pick out enemies that seem to be distracted or are engaging other teammates. First of all, you can help your teammates that way, and you can get an easy kill, at best. Avoid prolonged turning fights or prolonged engagements at all. Use the energy you can build up in the dive to either make a quick pass and then climb up, or to make a quick pass and then straight up speed away, depending on the energy state of your opponent. It's also advisable to make boom and zoom attacks, and should your enemies notice, not follow through with the attack, but pull up. Rinse and repeat to bleed their energy. I will demonstrate it in one of the later gameplay videos. If you dive, keep in mind that this thing tends to lock up at certain speeds. Let's just demonstrate that. I think around 700 km per hour, this thing, you really start to notice it. As you can see, it's very good in the dive. It has a good power to weight ratio, so it builds up speed very good. But as you can see, yeah, around 700, 750, it really starts locking up. The aircraft's big handicap is its roll rate, and that's what really kills it. Not kills it, but what limits it. It is decently maneuverable. I have to give it that, especially for an aircraft that heavy. So you can stick in the turn for a limited amount of time. Again, I would not recommend doing it for extended periods of time. But especially boom and zoom aircraft like these, they live and die by their roll rate, because there's a good chance your enemy will notice what you are doing and start breaking away. And if you can roll well, like a Focke 490 can, you can still get inside that turn and fire up a burst. With the Ki 102, you can see this is very difficult to achieve. That's why you really need to keep an eye out for enemies that are distracted, and these are the ones you want to engage, or alternatively bombers. If you keep that in mind and really focus and plan ahead, the Ki 102 can be very rewarding. You also want to use stealth belts for the 20mm guns, because you don't want your enemy to notice that you're firing at him, and with the 20mm stealth belts you can get that extra little bit of time before he notices you. And if you're a good shot, you will have shot him down by this point. Just look at that. I mean, the maneuverability is not bad, but the roll rate is just... I mean, that's the disadvantage of having so much armor. It really feels sluggish. When you fly this thing, you really feel the weight behind this thing. Yeah. Also, one thing to keep an eye out for is the very limited field of fire the rear gunner has. Because the framework of the rear gunner's position really gets in the way. So let's try to land this thing. Yes, let's try landing on a carrier, why not? Its landing characteristics are, especially for such a big aircraft, pretty docile, to be honest. The gear takes some time to extend, keep that in mind. Let's see, let's approach this. What is that, a Hiryu or a Soryu? Oh, I think that's the Hiryu actually. No, the Soryu. The Hiryu has its island on the other side. Oh well. Well, we screwed that up. Oh well, I mean, I guess I landed it. Holy shit. Well, anyways, that's for the flight performance of this thing. Again, keep an eye out for your teammates, work with your team. This aircraft is much more dependent on it than other aircraft. But if you manage that, it is very rewarding, especially getting kills with that 57mm gun. So, with that out of the way, I think let's head into our first gameplay. So let's see, we want to kill some bombers. That 57mm gun is pretty crap. It's hugely destructive, but the muzzle velocity sucks. This is like the KV-2 of aircraft. This thing launches fridges. Let's see if we can kill something. This aircraft, of course, being actually the ground attack variant of the Ki-102 Randy. But with the 57mm high explosive shell, you definitely are able to kill bombers. P-40s? There's something... I just saw something up high. There. What is that? Could be a bomber. It's way too high anyways. Two B-18s, okay. Let's select the cannon. Oh. Of course this guy is diving away. Should be faster than him, or oh yes. And now switch to the machine guns, to the 20 mils. Because now we have to deal with enemy fighters. One of our engine has taken some damage, but it doesn't seem all too bad right now. No leakage. Unlike the ME-410, this thing does not like to go that fast. Yeah, this thing locks up really bad. Even at moderate speeds. Yeah, get out of here. J-22 might be next. I critted him. Nothing too serious, it seems. P-36. Finish that guy off. Ah, come on. And got this guy as well. Now it's time to head out. We are not the fastest, but it should be enough to get away from a P-36. Ah, fuck, god damn it. And of course I pressed the wrong button. Oh my god. This gunner sight is really crap. Holy hell. The B-18 is coming in. What the hell is he thinking? Okay. Could need some help if some... Okay, good. Whatever the hell that was. Switching back to the machine guns. Pretty inevitable. I think one of our engines just... yeah. Okay, definitely time to head back to base. Didn't want to go head on there, but was necessary. Wouldn't have been able to avoid him. But this thing is tough. Yeah. This thing really is a pretty tough bird. I mean, it should be. This is a ground attack aircraft, so... meh. This is a beautiful machine, isn't it? Yeah, one engine just died. And unlike the ME410... oh well, wait, sorry if I take that back. This thing, just as the ME410, is pretty good in single engine flight. So it is definitely enough to bring you home. Ah, this might... come on. Oh, the fire rate of that thing is pretty good. Oh wait, I just got 5 kills. I thought I only had 4. Wait, all right. This is an ace match already. Well, let's see. Let's fucking go. I definitely needed 109 support though. Oh, now it's only one guy left. Okay, he has 2 kills, so he is a fighter, most likely. We need to be careful. This thing is not the most maneuverable. When you fly this thing really feels heavy. You can see it. It really feels like a little bit like a whale in the sky. But once you get a hang of it, it can be fun. As you can see, 5 kills with such an aircraft, well, not bad. Even scored a good kill with the 57mm. So, let's go. An SBD. Could kill some AIs real quick for some nice 57mm shots. Oh, and it's a Wildcat. This will be interesting. The Ki 102 is faster than a Wildcat. I know that, but I don't know if it's faster at this altitude. And anyways, the speed advantage is not really that much. Acceleration wise, I'm also not quite sure. I mean, this thing is heavy, but it does carry two very powerful engines. Anyways, the F4F doesn't seem want to engage, it seems. We need to get a hang in there. Need to get some practice in with this gun. I haven't used it in years. Seriously, this is the first time I've flown the Ki 102 in like, what, 2 years? Kinda surprised I'm doing this well. Let's get the 109 involved as well. Select the machine cannons. Hey, where is he? Damn it. Oh, there. Okay, so I think it's time to engage. He's occupied and low on energy. Please don't tell me he's crashing. He's crashing, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah, I scored it as a 6 kill for me. Whew, not a bad start. Not a bad start at all. Yep, 5 kills. Can't argue with that. Actually 6 because I killed one of the AIs, and then it would be 7 because, well, I'm definitely scoring that last kill for me. That was a maneuvering kill for me. This guy just gave up. But yes, 31,000, not bad. So, second match here with the Ki 102 already at altitude. Let's see what we can find. We have a lot of single engine aircraft, so this is not that easy. Okay, we are at altitude however, so we do have an advantage, at least in the initial stages. There's a Corsa. He's probably seen me. Let's see if I can get a drop on him. Yes! First kill of the match! Took out one of the most dangerous aircraft in my team. Corsa, as always, well, at all battle ratings they are dangerous. And yeah, as you can see, actually not that unmaneuverable, but terrible agility. If this thing had a better roll rate, it would be awesome. Anyways, diving down. Be careful not to be caught up by that P-38 up high. Making a high-speed pass. Let's see. Oh, that's a biplane. That should be an easy kill. What is he doing here? Yep. Kill number 2. Easy peasy. Let's peel out of here. Check our 6. Okay. We should have enough energy to outrun that Spitfire. And we do have teammates around us, so yeah. Quick loop around. Oh, now this is getting interesting. Let's see if I can save my teammate here. This will not be that easy. Of course, he turns right now. Damn it! If this thing would roll better. And only a hit on the P-39. Okay, let's put her into another power climb. Haven't even touched on that 57mm ammunition yet. I doubt we will. I mean, no bombers on enemy team, so I need to get very lucky should I manage to hit a single-engine fighter with that big slow-ass gun. This could be the shot here on the P-39. Ah, damn it! Of course, he turns at the worst. Can I stay in turn? No. And I'm running dangerously low on ammunition already. That's the disadvantage of the Ho 5. It runs through its ammunition very, very quickly. So again, okay, let's reposition ourselves here. Okay, we have a teammate coming in. Alright. We need to split these two guys up. Then I can engage. If I engage now. Come on, maybe can I get some shots in with the 50 cal? Okay. He's broken off. Let's see if I can get the P-39 now. Oh no, let's go to Spitfire. I think he's... Or should I? Let's not risk anything. Let's play it safe. We do have the energy advantage right now. Not good. He's killed the 109. Okay. Oh, we have no one coming in. Good. Let's see. This might be my chance to get a drop on the Spitfire. He's very low in energy. Alright, this is looking good. Come on. Critical. Yes! Great! Kill number 3 for the Ki 102. Alright. Okay, is he the last one? Four rounds of 20mm ammunition. I mean, if this is gonna... I mean, I might try as well. I mean, I probably won't get shut down if I screw up. I mean, I have teammates around me, so I can risk a little bit. You know what? Screw safe gameplay. Let's try to kill him with the 57 mil. Boom! This is never gonna hit. Oh! Last second kill! Holy shit! 4 kills! I didn't expect that, to be honest. Holy shit, 57mm right into his ass. Prepare your anus, Johnson. Great. Oh, and we're top of leaderboard. Yeah, not bad at all. So, and that's it for the Ki 102 Randy Heavy Fighter / Gun Attack Aircraft. Not the most beginner-friendly aircraft, if I say so myself, but once you've gotten the hang of it, once you master the attributes of this machine, it makes for an interesting flying experience, and getting kills with that big-ass 57mm gun. Oh, it's so fucking satisfying. It has its own playstyle. It's not a frontline aircraft, more of a second-line machine, because you're much more reliant on your team and positioning and deciding when to pick a fight and when not. But that prepares yourself for later gameplay, especially when you get into the jet era, where stuff like that is very important. And once you go down the Japanese heavy fighter line and have flown the Ki 45 successfully, you will get a hang for the Ki 102 rather easily, because it's not too different. That said, I call it quits for today. That's it for the Ki 102, and I see you in the next one.